Hi, welcome to the next edition of CCDC Shorts. The CCDC Shorts are brought to you by the Chamber Coalition of Dakota County, and that is the chambers of Apple Valley, Burnsville, Hastings, Lakeville, and River Heights. And I am joined today by Dave Scoveholt. Dave is the Systems, Communications, and Education Interventions Principal for the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry. Dave, that is a mouthful, but thank you so much for being here with us today. Dave and I are going to talk about the expanded workplace accommodation for new and expectant parents. And this is one of the new laws that's coming out here. And we've had a lot of questions. So Dave, we only have a short time and we want to get right into it. So first of all, thank you for being here.
Yes.
But Dave, let's dive right in. And what are the key points that employers need to know for this workplace protection for expected and new parents? I think we've got about a half a dozen kind of points on this. So let's kind of go through them.
Yeah, great. Thank you for inviting me. Let's go through maybe the three most important ones. So the first one is going to be the protections around those employees that would like to express milk or nurse in their workplace. And they've come back, they've recently had a child and they're come back to work. And now they're going to express milk. And so the employer is trying to figure out what are the requirements in that situation. So the essential thing to remember is the time and space. So those two words are really key. We talk about time and space. The employers will need to provide time, meaning break time, to be able to do that. And then a space, a location. And, a lot of times employers have they talk about having a dedicated lactation space. It doesn't need to be a dedicated space, but it is, they need to create a space that fits certain criteria. And the law change that we just saw, it did clarify that space is supposed to be clean, private, and secure. And there are a number of requirements under that to be able to achieve that. But those are kind of the three key words there thinking about. So time and space, and that space is clean, private, and secure. So another part of it is this is a change that happened in 2021 in our legislative session, is that most of that time is now compensable time. So we talk about employees who are non-exempt, so hourly employees, and thinking about their break times and which break times should be on paid time and non-paid time. And so unless an employee is using the time to express milk that is an unpaid meal break, for example, that 30-minute, maybe midday punched out break. If it's just other time in the day, then that's really going to be on compensable time. So that's been an issue in the past in terms of maybe employers having people use PTO or having them come in early or stay late for time that was used for those types of breaks. And that's no longer allowed because that would be considered a loss of compensation. So, and then additionally, I'll throw in really quick, there was a change in the federal law, which is the Pump Act. So people may have heard about that. But just to say that state and federal law, there's protections on both levels, and they're very similar.
Okay, good. That's a lot of information right there.
Yep. So that's one.
That's only one. Oh gosh, that was just one. Yeah, see? Okay.
So, right.
Keep
so
going.
Okay, that's one. That's the nursing mothers and lactating employees law. The second thing is pregnancy accommodations, and that's related to a pregnant worker at work. So they're and if they need accommodations for seating, limits on lifting, or more frequent restroom breaks, for example, those are accommodations that employers, there are some provisions around that. So we'll just say that quickly. And then the third thing would be the parental leave or pregnancy and parental leave laws. So the current law is 12 weeks of unpaid leave. And that is similar to FMLA, but it's for all employers in the state of Minnesota. And I know there's been a lot of talk about paid family and medical leave. So this is different. That paid leave doesn't start till 2026, but we do have a current unpaid leave law that also was changed this last year.
Okay. So did we get through the key points?
Those are three. Yep.
Holy moly. Okay. So what businesses does this apply to? Are there any exceptions to this?
Sure. So I guess this is an easier answer because it really does apply to all employers across the board. There was exceptions for smaller businesses and for situations where employees had been working with the employer for less than a year previously, but those were changed this last legislative session. So all three of those laws that I just talked about are going to apply to all employers in the state if they have one employee on up, and regardless of amount of time that the employee has worked for the employer.
So again, if you have one employee and they want 12 weeks off, they get 12 weeks off, right? As a part of this, is that what you're saying?
Right, if they fit that criteria of the leave, yes.
Yes, okay. And did we talk about when does this take effect, or did it take effect?
Yeah, so it's July 1 of this year, 2023. These took effect, so it's a great time to learn more about them.
Okay, so what if an employer doesn't have the appropriate private space? Going back to that very first bullet point in their location, do they have, being that it started July 1st, we're already into it, how much time do they have for some of these to make some of these adjustments? And is there any financial assistance if they have to make adjustments? What does that look like?
Yeah, so a lot of times, in this situation, employers can anticipate the potential need because they're going to have a pregnant employee, and then that employee is going to be going out on a leave, and then that employee will be coming back into the workplace. So when we're talking about the time and space, and I think, we're talking about the space here to set up that meets that clean, private, and secure, and all those requirements, they should be able to anticipate that situation. It doesn't need to have, the employer does not need to have a permanent space set up, but they do need to find a space. And so depending on, if it's more of an office type of situation, that's an easier fix. If it's a construction employer, if it's an employer that has employees that are on the go all the time, sometimes those are more challenging to figure out a solution, but there are a lot of solutions out there. The Minnesota Department of Health has some great workplace assistance programs to help employers with this. They have a program called the Breastfeeding Friendly Workplaces Recognition Program, which also has great information and recognizes employers publicly that are kind of going the extra mile and have great solutions for their workers as well. So those are some. I know also county, the statewide health improvement network, the SHIP network and county health departments, a lot of times they have had some funding for this and some support for employers to set up these spaces.
Okay, wonderful. So with this, as employers are trying to digest kind of all of this and what they should do, where are the best places that they can go to get any questions answered? You already touched on funding a little bit. Where are kind of their go-to starting points?
Well, I would refer them to our agency. So we have on our website, we have a dedicated web page that covers all the things that we've talked about. And it also has resources kind of like to send to, for example, the Department of Health and those resources. So that's dli.mn.gov/new parents. We also take many phone calls every day from employers on our technical assistance line, and that's 651-284-5075. So those are some great resources, and we're really happy to get calls from employers because we know that they're looking for that type of assistance, and we want to help them in those situations.
Wonderful. Dave, is there anything that we didn't cover that you want to make sure we add in, or do you think we've got kind of the main points that at least will get them started? I
think absolutely, yeah. People should have the basics there and enough to know if you're on the right track, or maybe you need to look into it a little bit more. But yeah, thank you so much.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Dave, so much for joining us today. And just a reminder, this CCDC short is brought to you by the Chamber Coalition of Dakota County, and that is the chambers of Apple Valley, Burnsville, Hastings, Lakeville, and River Heights. You can find this and our other library of shorts on our YouTube channel or through your local Chamber of Commerce. So thank you very much.